Hi, everybody. I'm Clarissa Ferraris, and I will talk to you about love, World War I and Italy, but let me introduce myself first. So I collected postcards since I was about 15 years old, with a big interruption due to my career. But so I'm involved in a lot of postcard clubs nowadays as I'm retired. And I'm also the vice president of the Capitol-Beltway Postcard Club that cover Northern Virginia, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. So without further ado, I will talk to you about this set of postcards that I found that are very interesting, and you will understand my title very soon. So first thing, the origin of this collection. I found in about 93 about a postcard set in Baltimore on a postcard fair. I didn't do much with it. In 2000, my mother volunteered with a friend of hers to actually transcribe everything that was on the back of this postcard. All the messages, an exception 143 of them. In 2020, I finally had time to organize all this transcription and wrote the history of the back of the postcard. There is 496 postcards on this collection, and only 59 were not dated. So it was easy to put them in a certain order, in chronological order, and be able to discover what is the story behind these postcards. So the story is basically two lovers in Italy on World War I that wrote to each other back and forth. And the unusual part is that I have most of the postcard on both sides, not just one or the other. So the two characters that I talk about will be Nino and Nina. Nino is Giovanni Rovei, and his birthday on December 11, we know, but we do not know the year. I'm guessing 1896 or earlier, because in April 1914, he was drafted for the army, and he had to be 18 years old at the time. So he was from Mosso Santa Maria, and I will tell you where it is in a short while with a map. And he was in infantry from the whole war, 1915 to 1918. Nina Romana Maiola, instead we know the birthday. She was born on February 20, 1898. Therefore, she was only 16 in 1914. So remember that detail. She was a child, and she was from Chiavarza Biella, and was a student, I suppose, at least the first year. Then she went to Torino, was she a student there at university? We don't know for sure, but we can guess. So Nino deployments, we can follow them by the address that he gives in his postcards. So he was on two regiments of the Fanteria, which means the infantry, and he was in different company, a subset of the regiment. And very often, that's what I put in red, he was in zona di guerra, which means war zone. He was not allowed to do specifically where he was, but he was on the war zone. As you can see, very often he come back. At the end, he was on the Reparto Salmeria, which is a provision department. So basically providing the necessary tools or food or other equipment that the army will need. So where are we? So here is Mosso San Maria and Chiazza, and I'll blow up this map later. So this is Italy, and this is where the two lovers are coming from. She went to Torino, as you can see, is not far away. It's probably less than an hour train. I don't know at the time. And then in here is where the war was. He was mainly in Belluno, which is this area, and Trento and Trieste are the two important parts on World War I for Italy, and I will explain in a few minutes why. So Mosso Santa Maria and Chiavarza, where she was living, were about 20 kilometers, 12 miles between each other, so not that far. Chiavarza is now part of Biella, which is a bigger city. It has a hospital, but no university. So when the postcard started in 1912, it was a simple greetings from Vicenza. It was sent to her, and the text is very banal. It basically says, greetings, how are you doing? And that's it. In 1913, this is from Nina. He sent it to him. And as you can notice, only most of Santa Marina, although it was not posted. So I'm not sure if it was hand delivery or how. But this is basically say, Happy New Year. And again, it was posted, it was written on the December 31st, and it just say Happy New Year. Nothing major, nothing exciting. This one I'll show you out of order because it's from Torino. And Via Cernia is where the Nina lived in Torino sometimes. So she was somewhere in here in one of these arcades. So she sent this to tell him, here where I am. So the rest of the talk, it will be separated between different things. Pacioti postcard, what Nino wrote, what Nina wrote, so that you can kind of follow, and I will tell you story as I go along of the two lovers, as I was able to guess it from the postcards. So first you need to know war in Italy. The war in Italy started, the war in Europe started on July 28, 1914. But actually Italy did not start the war until about a year, almost a year later in 1915. So remember that because Nino was drafted in April 14, but he didn't go to the war till a year later. So the purpose of the war for Italy was to actually find all the parts of Italy missing to get to the Alps. And they thought when Italy started the war that it would be very fast, very easy. And but instead, no, they were bogged down into a trench warfare in high altitude, in the cold, and very cold winters at the time. But they fought in these 3 years. And the war ended for Italy on November 3rd, 1918. So this is a situation before the war. Italy was a kingdom, was a king, and this is the areas that Italy wanted to have as a result of the war. And the Austro-Hungarian Empire was owning this part of the land that Italy wanted. And what is important is that one is Trento and the other one is Trieste, the two main cities. And you will remember because you will see them often in the following. So this is what happened in 1918. Italy got some part of the two areas that they wanted because obviously the Austro-Hungarian was defeated. So Pacioti postcards at that area was very often making reference of Trento and Trieste. Vedono avverarsi il sogno della libertà, the dream of liberty. And so this is Italy represented with a crown. We were in a kingdom and a flag, which has a crown again. And these are representative of the two cities of Trento and Trieste. So Nino left, as we said, on training in April 1914. Italy was not at war, so it was okay. But they were already talking about wanting to get this Trento and Trieste. So this one, I found it interesting. It has a Trento and Trieste here with the Alps, and l'Italia si desta means Italy is waking up and is breaking the chains, as you can see in this holding. And Italy is always represented by a beautiful woman. Again, Viva Trento and Trieste is Italian, and this is where again, Trento and Trieste, and Italy is again a woman is doing, you know, advertisement for that. Baci. So Nino was able to visit from time to time and visit on Sundays, but it was very hard. Their love was not approved in a family. We don't know why, but we can guess that she was too young. She was only 16 and he was already 18. Eventually they came around. Nina parents, we learn, these are two that I put with, again, the flag and the combatants, and then the Bersaglieri, country and love, and come back victorious. Nina's parents were in USA, and Nino had been sick in 1914. Nina is studying for some exam. We don't know which one, maybe school, high school. This is very patriotic with all four of the allies. This is Russia, England, Italy, and France. The author is E. Sonja. I ask a lot of my Italian friends, nobody knows who this designer is. There is no information about him. So if by any chance you come across something, let me know. Another problem was Nino is a war. And when as soon as he was drafted, as soon as the war started, he was a war. Therefore, Nina goes to pray on holy site. She very often goes to the Consolata in Torino, Blessed Virgin Maria Comforter, which is Consolata. And so these are postcards which this special design of Christ with a crown and Virgin Maria with a crown, as you can see on both postcards here. And that is also given to as a good wish when you go to that church, what we call in Italy a santino. A santino is a little piece, and I'll show you one just after, where you get it when you go to the church as a thank you. This is the Pope, Benedetto XV, who wrote a prayer to the Virgin Maria, help us, protect us, save us. And it's the same sentence that is written here in smaller letter. And this one postcard I like, well, because it has the Alps, but it also has the Navy and the aviation. So it has all the parts of the army or armed forces. So this is the Santino is a little piece of paper. It's probably even smaller than this. The Santuario della Consolata Torino. She was going back and forth with Torino, so it's not. So she was going there to pray, and she was trying to tell Nino that she was thinking of him. Virgin Maria is always a protector of anybody who has hardships. And therefore, this one, actually, I'm almost surprised that it was intact. It has a little ribbon with the Italian color, and it has a little kind of coin with the Virgin Maria attached. I'm also surprised that everything arrived intact to me. Don't forget, all these postcards were mailed. Some were mailed in an envelope. So this postcard was sent to Nino to say, I'll think of you, I will protect you. And Nino was always complaining back that he was cold, that he was wet, that he was not good. So this is a Santuario di Orobia, where Nina went several times during her those years. And as you can see, it's in a beautiful setting, and it has a particularity that it has a Virgin Maria that it says to have come from Bethlehem and is on a black wood. So it's black, which is unusual. Italia, la tua marina è potente. Your marina is the Navy in English, so it's powerful. This one is sent by Nino, and he said, I wait news impatiently. And again, Avanti Savoia. Savoia was the house of the king in Italy at the time. And again, Trento and Trieste, the area that Italy wanted to conquer. There was a lot of discussion between the two. Send me letter. I didn't receive your letter. Please, I just received your letter. Thank you very much, but I need your longer letters. The letters I do not have, and probably they were lost. This one I like because it shows the soldiers in the Alps, probably was cold. And the designer here is Ugo Finozzi. He was the Italian illustrator with a lot of war bond, poster, and postcard. He did a lot of them at the time. Vittorio Poli, I think it's Vittorio Poli. And these are the dates where and he has also a lot of postcards. And this one, I selected them because it depicts very clearly army life, whether it is a cavalry or guns or other things. So I think they are very detailed on the things. There's no snow on this one, so I don't know if he was imagining that all was good or it was springtime. Nino sent mainly military postcard, obviously. And one reason he sent mainly military postcard is because the army had no stamps. So you could not mail a letter without a stamp. But you can mail postcards, the military postcard, in franquicia, means for free, because they were automatically allowed by the army and they were free for the soldiers. So I'll show you some. They are very colorful. This is an Italian flag with a crown again. And I was able to follow. Nina had a little switched back and forth on different addresses in Chiavezza and also then in Torino. And the reason I gather from her changing addresses regularly, because her parents she was not living with her parents. Her parents were in the United States, but she was living either with her grandparents or with an aunt. And so probably they were switching back and forth from the two locations. You can follow very clearly where he was because the postcard says the regiment he was in. This one is a 56 Regiment of Fanteria. Fanteria means foot soldier or army. And as you can see, the postcard are very clearly. So you had to write your name and last name, your grade, which is soldato, which means that he was a simple soldier, foot soldier, regiments, alla compagnia, and also if there was a special area, and here is right, zona di guerra, which is being war zone. 56. I like your penmanship with ink and all the. This is a special one because it's Campania 1915, so it was definitely for the war. And here it clearly has the rules. If you can mail this without a stamp, without a date, without the location of departure, and it has to be mailed in a special box from the military. Of course, the stamp was placed, so I have the dates of the 9 September 15. This one was on from a hospital. This is from it has the name of the hospital because he was wounded. And so he wrote to the hospital. Instead of going, and in his postcard, he says that instead of going home after he recovered from this wound in the hospital, he was sent back to the front because obviously it was a war zone, so they couldn't take time to get him home. We learned that he was sick or wounded 4 times, Nino, on 14 once, 2 times on the 1915 and 1 time in 1917. We never said what was his wound or what was the issues, but it was shown that he was sick. This is a nicely decorated postcard, again for free, no stamps, but it was mailed to Romana, and it has a one specific characteristic that will blow up, which is down here. It says gift to the esercito, which you mean the army, from the company Alberto Maritarini, which is a military vendor and from Naples. So basically he on his own published this postcard so that the soldier can send news home, and is donated to the army. Another type, as you can see, there were a variety of type. Here we learned that he's on the 54th Regiment, 11th Company, always in war zone. And now she's in Torino. This one, I think is the last one on this type. I found it very highly decorated with all the flags of the Allies, and of course the Italian one on the top. Non-military, mainly the non-military postcard were mainly sent by Nina, because she had access to all kind of postcard that she can buy around. So I have a couple that I think they are very now. This is Achille Mauzan. He was a French born in 1883, but moved in Italy in 1905. So before the war, and he produced over 1,000 postcards. I found this one very nice. And I guess a soldier receiving this postcard will be delighted. Another one. In 1916, she started to leave, she's turned 18, so she more often in Torino than in Chiavezza. I can assume she's attending the university. The parents have started to be relinquishing and start to say it's okay and of the relationship. So it's a little bit of a talk, but there is a lot of discussion between the two about him sending a letter to her parents. I don't know what kind of letter. I don't know what the content of the letter will have been, and he's waiting. Did your parents responded? Did you mail the letter? Did the letter received? Don't forget, the parents were United States and there was no email or that much a telephone. This one was certainly mailed in an envelope because I don't know how the feather will have gone through the post office. This is a kind of back, as you can see, the very old-fashioned writing. This is Caro Mio, it's from Nina, from Nina, it's signed Nina. And they, sometimes they take the whole postcards. This one obviously was not mailed as a postcard, but it was mailed as a letter in an envelope. Here we already saw that the mother and the sister are giving him greetings. So we thought maybe they are knowing about the relationship and are okay with it. Another thing that Nina was doing is that she was buying sets of postcards, and then she was sending one at a time, little by little, or writing a message on 2 postcards at a time. So this one is for Christmas, Buon Natale, and it is the same, clearly the same angel that has a different position. Or simply playing an instrument. In 1915, around September 15, there is start Nina to talk that she will leave for the USA to join her parents in New Jersey. Nino plans to write to the parents, as I said, to allow her to stay. And he's constantly begging, please, please do not leave me. Wait for me. We'll be going together. This is a ribbon that is going through the postcard. Best wishes. Another thing, this is from Amatissima Ninuccia, and 2 postcards completely until it says Baci Nino. So they were writing long postcards messages, which are almost letters on a postcard. This postcard is unusual because it was for Nino's birthday, nothing unusual there, but it's an English postcard. So I have no idea how Nina got hold of an English postcard in Italy in the middle of the war. And it shows, you know, a Navy personnel with a picture of a loved one. Another type of series. We learn also that in 1916, Nino is keeping a diary or journal, and he's asking Nina to send him another notebook because his first notebook for where he writes a diary was completed and finished. Obviously, we don't have the diary either, or the notebook, unfortunately. I like this. It's again, the different positions. It was clearly a set, and she write one, and then she sent a couple days later, she sent the other one. Same thing here. In late 15, early 16, there are some quarrels between the 2 lovers. Maybe Nina seems to start getting cold feet, I don't know. She signed her postcard with her full name instead of signing Nina, and she signed it by Romana or Romana Maiola, the whole name. And so Nino is alarmed and saddened, and he begs her to keep on using Nina or Ninuccia, because she said, "This why are you suddenly be so cold or so distant?" She ended up complying to please him for duty, because he's serving his country. Of course, we don't know. Another set, this one has a 4, which is on different stages of playing these instruments. On March 16, they had a date to meet in Torino. Nino was on leave for a whole week, 7 days at home, she was asking him to join her in this hotel in Torino, which is interesting because all the word is written in French, although we are in Italy, in Torino, and he does not come. That was a major blow. He did not come. On 7 days leave in Mosto San Marino, he had no time to go all the way to Torino to visit her. And she was desperate about that. Another set that actually longer than just 4 postcards, but I selected 4 of these nice ladies. I'm sure that for a soldier to receive this are nice. This is another set, but I have more on these, but is very unusual. This is by Domenico Mastroianni, is 1876 to 1962, and is what is called a sculptochrome, which means that the guy was modeling in clay the elaborate scene that you see here. Take a picture of them and then destroy them completely and do another image with the same clay and then take a picture and so forth. So is a mind-boggling that you will do such a complicated device and then decide to destroy them. But that's what he was known for. And took a picture, and there are many postcards of him. Oops, yes. The last of these ones are, love about the Italian flag and the soldier and the ladies kissing each other again in different positions. At one point, they start sending, in 1916 or so, they start sending secret message under the stamp. Why? I don't know, because a lot of these messages are very mundane. I'm waiting for your letter or something like that. I'm not sure why they had to be under the stamp. And they also had a discussion, please, when you put the secret under the stamp, make sure you don't glue the stamps completely and only wet the edges of the stamp so I can remove it and read the message. So I'm waiting for your pictures. And I guess you can see half of the stamp on both things, and a little message under the stamp. The last one, I'm well, and I'll write you a letter tomorrow. So I'm not sure why this had to be so secret, but it was under the stamp. 1916, this is actually the last postcard I have sent by Nina. It says, happy Buon Natale, happy Merry Christmas. And since June, Nino was begging her to wait, but I'm sure she's gone. And this is anonymous because on a boat to go to United States. The next postcard we have is by Caporale Nino Rovei, which means that he has promoted to an officer position, always on the 54th, always in a war zone, because this was sent in October 18 by Nino. And as you can notice, the address is New Jersey. So she was gone. The war ended on November 3rd, so like a couple weeks later, 1918, but she was gone. So what happened? How did the story end between these two? It seems that Nina never married. She lived in the United States, and I found that by the census of 1920. At that time, she was living with her mother, and the mother was head of household. So before, during the exchange between the two lovers, there was a mention of a father also. There was father and mother. So the father must have deceased at that point. And during the census of 1920, you can learn that she has also a sister and a brother in USA. And I think the sister got married and have descendants. Nino did not die during the war. We know that because there is a list of the people, of the soldiers that lost their life during the war, and he's not on that list. Did he die for a flu after the war? We don't know. Did he ever go to USA, at least for a visit? Again, we don't know. The postcard collection was found in USA with both Nino and Nina postcards, which is how that happened. They must have seen each other or exchanged something after the war. Why all Nino's postcards were sent to Nina? Because she was the one in the United States and she had the postcard. There is no postcard from Nina after 1916. Why? Because she has all the Nino's postcard and they are in the United States. So the only speculation is that those postcards were lost. Don't forget, Nina's postcard were the one that were more colorful, more appealing to sell. It's possible that they were sold separately before actually I bought the whole lot. We don't know, and we probably will never know unless I found descendants. So that's all I have, and I'd be open to any question you may have or any.
Do you have any questions?
I don't have a question, but it's just an absolutely tantalizing story.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
And, you know, beautiful and interesting, and I wish we could somehow know more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I found on some of those family search, I found the family tree of Nina, and there was a descendant, a niece that made the tree available, and I contact her. I sent an email through that website, but she never answered. And her name is very common. I can't remember now, but it's a very symbol like Linda something. So even Facebook or other way, there are tons of people with that name. So there was no way to search it.
You mentioned that you had written the article for postcardhistory.net, which I remember reading. Do you remember roughly the date of when it was posted?
It was, no, I don't remember the date, but if you click on, if you write Ferraris on the search, there's only 2 articles I wrote, so it's easier to find.
Do you know if the Torino Ferrovia cancels mean it was mailed at the railroad station post office? Presumably either there's a special way to mail military postcards, or it was just the post office. It would speed things up rather than a local post office.
I don't know if it speeds up, but I suppose that all the mail going through the railways. So to go from Belluno to Torino, I'm sure it goes through the railways. And so mailing there, or it was a whole bag of military postcard from the war zone that was dumped at the railway station to be mailed.
And did the war with Austria end before the war with Germany? We always think of November 11th, 1918 as Armistice Day, when the fighting more or less ended.
But well, they may be signed, but the war ended a week earlier. I'm not sure. I'm not very good in history. The article, it was on June 17, 2021, Susan. Yeah, so I'm not sure. I should double check. Any other questions?
In some of the letters or the beginning of the letters, they use their formal name. and then it evolved into Nino and Nina. Is there any explanation for that?
No, it's a reverse. So Nino and Nina was used between them when they signed. It was always there was always writing Nino Nina. And at one point she switched and signed in Romana or with her full name, and he'd write Dear Giovanni as opposed to Dear Nino. And so he was alarmed why suddenly she was being so formal. And he thought it was because she didn't love him anymore. And don't forget, I can imagine he was more desperate than she was. She was at home in Chiavezza. There was no war. Yes, there were probably hardship and things that you can't find, but she was freely moving from Torino to Chiavezza for her studies, going home. He was in the trenches in the altitude and cold. For him, this was the letter from her was the only thing, hope. There's a lot of letter from him saying, I hope I'll survive. I hope I can manage to get back home, but I have to do my duty. There was a lot of angst on his side, and you can imagine why.
Yeah.
While for her is not. So she felt that it seems that they have not seen each other during the war. So for a 16 years old, not seeing her lover for 3 or 4 years, you feel like, okay, I'll move on. Damaris?
That's funny. Yeah, I'll move on. What else can you do when you're 16?
Yeah. And she left for the United States, but interesting that she never married.
That's
At least
true.
for what I can find, because the tree that her niece did has her with no husband.
Is the 1930 census been released yet, or?
I don't know. I have to check that.
60.
I have the sense of 20. I know where to find it. There's a guy in Italy that when I posted some of the story and questions in Facebook in Italy, he contacted me and said, oh, this is very interesting. I'll help you. And so he helped me find some of the information in on the website, because he was also doing what do you call it? Genealogy research.
It's a wonderful story, and I love how the cards by themselves, you know, they might be kind of boring, they may not be too interesting, but together it's just wonderful. And even the military ones, you know, the different patriotic ones, the ones with the flags, and just anything printed on it. My gosh, very, very interesting, and good for you to have saved them. And
yeah, I was a pure luck, because I arrived there and I always ask, do you have Italian postcards? And the dealer said me, oh yeah, I have this box. And so I started looking and I was like, oh my gosh. And I said, do you have more? And he in fairness searched for other postcards that he has classified elsewhere, because they were the pretty ones.
yeah.
Do any of your allies postcard include the Japanese? So I noticed the one with a bunch of flags. There was no Japanese flag.
I don't know if the Japan, how.
Well, they mostly were in France.
Yeah, they were in France or in the Pacific. And so I don't know. They were not Japanese flag.
Yeah.
That I saw, but maybe I'll have to look it again now.
Yeah. Well, it's just really terrific. You did a good job, and your mother too, to have done all the
Oh, my
translation.
mother, I can't say, and I feel bad because she did it in 2000. I
Yeah.
sent her photocopy of the back of the postcard, and she went there. She was reading, and the other person was writing, and then she typed them all and sent them to me. And then I was so busy with my career, I did nothing. And unfortunately, now that I had time, she's passed on and I can't share with her.
Yeah,
But I share it with her friends.
that's
I was
sure.
able to share the
sure.
story with her friends.
Yeah. Well, you
I
did a
ended up
good
with a
job.
little cache of Italian postcards from a Canadian missionary who's coming back from China, who was a colleague of my mother's mother. So I have postcards from when she went through places like Rome and Genoa and Florence in 1900. So
Nice.
we all get these little caches bestowed upon us.
Yeah. That's how I started my collecting postcard. I found a bunch of postcards from my grandfather.
Really nice, Clarissa. Just terrific.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, yes.
Any other questions?
Oh, Clarissa, Clarissa, I really enjoyed that. That was just fabulous.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Clarissa. That was great. It was very, very good. Thank you.